still there? To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. To hear more options, press 0. What are you talking about?
Today, I'm fortunate enough to be joined by Rama Khani. She is currently a student in India. She had an internship during the pandemic, and she is trying to shape that into a success story. And hopefully there's a little bit of leeway that we can play with in order for her to really shine in the semi-post-pandemic landscape that we're currently in. Rama, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happened during the pandemic, your trajectory so far, and where you are currently?
Okay, I'm from India. I'm based in a town called Pune in India. So I got a placement at the start of the start of the fourth year of my college, and because I got the placement so early, I didn't get a chance to do a lot of internships. I applied at some internships, but before I could start there or get an internship that I want, I got placed in a company called Cognitive Technology Solutions, and they told me that they'll be giving me an internship, and they did. But the problem was it overlapped with the pandemic and the lockdown, so I didn't actually get to go to the office and learn anything from there. It just shifted to online or virtual internship where I didn't get to learn as much as I thought I would. Or I'm a people's person, so I thought learning with people, seeing how actual things work, that would have been really fun. But just seeing videos of teachers teaching stuff and then doing all the projects on my own, that was kind of boring. The level of projects also decreased. That I thought if a lot of students would have worked on the same project, then we could have built much successful project or a much bigger project. But since we were all doing it individually, it just came to a simple project, a Java-based and SQL-based project. I'm not saying it was, basically that's it. Sorry.
That's a really interesting story. I think unique for the only time in our lifetimes where this has happened before. And you're from Pune. I believe that Pune is a sister city for San Jose. So I believe that that's the connection for the two of us. Silicon Valley to India right there.
Yeah.
So, quick question then. How would you rate your satisfaction with your internship out of 5?
Out of 5, 2.
Yeah, 2. Okay. She has a good understanding of fast metrics. I would say a question for moving forward in this space is that what are you willing to be able to work with in order to achieve your goals? Because there's 2 ways to try to achieve a data science position. You could settle for a position that is analogous and auxiliary to the actual data science and analytics work. But the trap with that is that you'll ultimately be stuck in meetings, in learning processes and landscapes that you will not actually utilize in your actual data science work. And that derails you, but it is a foot in the door. And the opposite side is you taking on a lot of technical personal projects, working for yourself, not being able to network, cutting yourself off from the actual professional world, and then ultimately, holding out for that data science job and making sure your first position is an actual data science job. Have you wrestled with that idea of which one to take?
I have actually, and I have watched your video regarding, you said that 5 or 7 mistakes that beginners in data science make, or someone who's pivoting from another job to this makes. Right. And I saw that, and I know that you strongly advocate that we shouldn't settle for anything less than a data science. But for me, I don't think being a data analyst would be that bad. All those downs or drawbacks that you mentioned for data analyst, I would enjoy that too. Like, I'm a people's person. I would enjoy working with people, just discussing things and picking up a lot of personal projects and just, visualizing things or finding insights from data. That interests, that excites me too. So yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that as well.
That's awesome. Okay, well, in that case, it's a win-win for you. If you take the analyst position, you'll be able to do a lot of the work that you like to do. What do you think about the landscape in India? What's the market like in terms of analytics versus data science?
So as you said, as a beginner, I think it would be easier for me to get a data analyst job. And for data scientist, I heard that there's a lot of need for a data scientist, but I couldn't see that in the market. But I'm experienced, so don't get me wrong. But just I don't know. I felt that at least for freshers, they're not. I'm sure they're not looking for data scientists. I do feel that way.
What do you think is one of the bigger issues in trying to find data science in India, where it's a very male-dominated field? For example, on my YouTube channel, I can see the proportion of female versus male users. And I'm not trying to gear my content towards one or the other, but it is close to a 90%, 95% male population. So what do you think about that in terms of trying to find your first job in that space?
All right. So I never gave it a real thought. I knew that there was a shift. Like I knew there were a lot of male. It is a male-dominant industry, but I didn't know the numbers were this high, like 90 to 10. So I really didn't give it a lot of thought about it. At least not yet. And as I said, all the experience that I have right now is just virtual. So I didn't really get to know a lot of people personally to say or comment anything about this yet.
Thank you for sharing that. And as you know, in this space, there are a lot of prominent data scientists, such as Tina Huang, such as Rhea, who I had on the show earlier, people who want to dive into the field from all different kinds of backgrounds. So that's the question that the employer is going to be asking is, can you tell a narrative about your story so far that makes sense for the trajectory that you want to take? So do you want to become a people's manager, for example, or do you want to become an architect, a person that creates data pipelines and understands the entire product from the land up? What do you think is your ultimate goal?
I would like to learn project, as you said, the entire project, end to end.
Okay, so management isn't as important.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
So management isn't as important to you as being able to be a master in the project itself.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well then you can start telling your story in the sense that, you know, my name is Rama. I am coming from this background of being excited and passionate about the data foremost. And in terms of data storytelling, I am the person in the room that is able to connect the design team, the marketing team, the sales team, the people that need the data the most. I am able to provide that in the fastest and most efficient way. I am used to being able to look at projects and thinking about how they should scale. I'm used to looking at projects and thinking about what other stakeholders should I consider when I make a decision that will affect a lot of different people. And then ultimately, as an intern, you at this rate want to be able to emphasize the kinds of roles that you've had where you interacted with the C-suite or more advanced senior position people, right? Being able to, and that's where being part of a smaller project and smaller team can help a lot. So if you haven't had a lot of that experience yet, you can talk about the experience that you've had with your management. Like, how do you interact with the manager? Are you coachable, right? That's the 3 questions that they're trying to ask is 1, how do you interact with a team and your manager? 2, are you coachable? And that they're going to be able to find that out through the interview process, but also through some technical practices and tests. And then 3, have you a good understanding of where you're going? And that's why I asked you, do you think you have a data science goal in mind?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Are you finished?
So yeah, by which I mean recruiters are people, right? So they're looking to, at the very least, understand how to package your candidacy so that the next person that they have to pass the buck off to understands what they're dealing with, because they never met you, right? The hiring manager might never be able to meet you. The recruiter is the person that gets to talk to you. Yeah. That's enough of me rambling. Can I answer a couple of questions you have about how to get your foot in the door?
Okay, so well, I do have a lot of questions, but I think the most important one would be like, am I doing anything wrong by settling for data analyst?
No.
Am I compromising or anything on anything?
So in America, the trap of falling into analyst is to not have the time to work on your data science skills. It's not, but at the same time, it's muddying your story, right? It's, and by muddying, I don't mean it's tainting it. It's making it more confusing for the person that has to tell your candidacy, right? If you are an analyst and then you jump around to maybe a business consulting position, maybe then to a strategic consulting position, and then you want to come back to data science, suddenly your story is a lot less linear. that could be an upper hand depending on how you tell the story. But most people don't know how to tell that story. And that's why the recruiter passes them up, because they think that the default thought when you are an analyst is that you don't have the technical experience. You don't know how to train a model. You don't have the statistical background to support whatever computational work that you do. That's the main question for a data scientist is, can you not only write code like a software engineer, but also be able to engineer that correctly, the model that will affect $1 billion question in the company, like a statistician?
Yeah. I actually watched a video on something similar of it was an YouTuber who talked about how Facebook measures how well you did. So even if you made like a deep neural network and you made a linear regression model and the linear regression model is better, then that means you did a better job as a with the linear regression model.
Right.
So yeah.
That's fun. You have to link that video to me later.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'm always interested. If you have fun comments or stuff you want to show me, I would love to see that in the future. Okay. In that sense, your question is really hitting on the hard point, which is, what am I doing wrong? Or could I do something wrong right now? The question is, right now, the world is getting a bit of a hall pass for weird stuff in your portfolio. If you have this internship that you can't speak to in a conventional way, speak to how you were able to work under, you were resilient under a global pandemic, right? You were able to still, well, it's relative, right? So it ultimately ends up being, you were working on these, you were working on infrastructure that affected the code that the company ran on. You wrote code as somewhere between a hacker and an analyst, right? You were someone who was able to work in a siloed position remotely and be able to get something done in that sense. So that's how I want you to position your internship. Your internship will be able to carry you into the next job. And that's why when you go to college, no one cares about which high school you went to anymore. When you go to your grad school, no one cares about which college. And your first job erases everything.
Okay, well, I hope that would have work.
Let's say that you were given the opportunity to become something that, every single professional job is data related, but let's say that they gave you a management consulting job. It pays well. A good paying management consulting job in America is around 80,000 USD. So, it's not six figures, but it certainly means that you'll be traveling, you will be living your life in hotels, which is fun, I suppose, for 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And you will be, you're going to be having your meals paid for, and you'll have a stipend and everything. What do you think about that versus holding out for an actual data analyst or data science job?
Okay, so the offer is quite lucrative. I would want to take that job, but I don't know. I mean, I would still keep on working. So best case scenario would be I would take that job, and I'll make sure I work at least 1 hour on my passion project. And if I have a good enough project, I'll keep on applying for data analyst and data science roles. And if I get a better job, I would just switch.
That's you think so quickly. I love your brain. I had the exact same question. In fact, I got that offer first out of when I graduated. I had to decide between that offer and a FANG offer. And at the time, Silicon Valley was really tempting, but I knew nothing about it, And the larger management consulting company said, you can work anywhere. And if you want to work in Silicon Valley, we'll match the offer that the FANG company offered. So it was really difficult to explain my curiosity. They even got the vice president of analytics, they call it AI back then, so the vice president of analytics and insights to come talk to me. Because they want to sell this position. You ultimately are either every employee is a bit of a product of the company, but none more so than the professional services industry. You are essentially a something that people have to sell you, and then they have to ultimately use you to sell something else. So that's the question, right? If you want to work as an analyst, you become integrated into the actual company. You no longer have to grind to prove your worth because they chose you.
Right.
That's the kind of
Right.
belonging you can find in a company for analytics and data science versus the professional services world. So that's why I wanted to see what you would think. But
Okay.
in terms of next steps, what about a project that connects some data end to end? Have you started thinking about a passion project?
Yes, I have, but I don't know where to start. And as I said, my exam dates are just keep on changing, so I didn't get a lot of time to think about it. But what I have in my mind is, I want to just scrap data for companies that offer data analyst or data science positions for freshers and all the startup based companies in Pune and in Bangalore, because I'm targeting two cities, Pune and Bangalore. So I just want to get records of those companies, and then I want to rank them according to the job environment, work life balance, and all the things that matter to me, like that, or salary, and I don't know, some other elements, other features. I haven't thought about it yet, and I would just rank them according to that, and then I just want to apply to that company, and I just want to show them that, okay, I picked your company because of this project. So I don't know if it's a bad idea, but I thought it would be really cool to do that.
I think that's a really fun idea. Let me send you some articles about more advanced machine learning methods that you can use once you've completed the first part of your project. Because I feel like a project that you're passionate about, you can apply advanced machine learning methods to anything as long as you're passionate about it.
Yeah, correct.
Have you thought about taking your education to the next step? Like, you're an educator, right? So you could go off and start coaching or tutoring and starting your own small business. I'm not sure how easy it is in India, but I found a space to create free education here on YouTube. So I'm wondering if you've ever thought about that.
I do, but I just recently started wondering about it. I learned something about passive income. I don't know whether I should mention to you.
Yes.
Passive income, and I learned that if I create videos once and apply it, add it to websites like Udemy, Skillshare, and all those websites, then I'll have at least some amount of money getting in my bank account, like for every month or every week. I don't know how that works, but I just have that idea. And if I can create I was thinking about 3-part syllabus, like first curriculum. First, we'll just cover SQL and Excel, because people do not, pay attention to that when they about data analyst or data science. So I just want to work on that in the first part. Second part would be more data visualization, and third part would be a little bit of machine learning and deep learning, a little bit. So I was thinking about this. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I'm just thinking about it. Like, if I could do that, that would be really great.
I would love to be your first customer and direct people your way. I feel like there's such a supportive community here. I never would have gone this far without the people that mentored me. So I'm 100% sure that we would be able to support you for whatever product you build.
Thank you.
But I have some unconventional advice, but I think it's probably the most important piece of advice I can give you. But you have to, if you listen to it, you have to promise that you will try to take the advice.
Yeah, of course. I try to, take your advice anyway from videos, and
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, here it comes. I want you to start recording yourself, because that has done wonders for my own understanding of how I communicate. Before, I was still championing my story. So the narrative that I tell is that I'm a data storyteller, I'm a data artist. I am able to communicate complex ideas to a variety of different stakeholders and people who need to understand these ideas. But then I started recording myself, and I noticed how fast I talked, how scattered my thoughts were, right? And the filler words that I use, and I still use them. What, like. So it's ugly, but at the same time, it's compellingly humbling in order to hear yourself talk. So for the 5 minutes, I don't necessarily think you should vlog. I don't think you should talk about your day. I think you should try to explain an idea, right? Explain logistic regression, explain Bayes' theorem, something simple, but every day spend 5 minutes looking into a camera and explain something to yourself. You will notice that everybody, when they first start out, people who are smart, they talk fast. So slow it down, make sure that it's clear, and most importantly, use your body language and your posture and your hands and and use
Correct.
your entire, I would say this is a communication palette that is your human body in order to get across the idea. That makes a intern, someone, if I was hiring someone for a position that, you know, a lot of people look very similar and I'm not sure how to differentiate who's the most qualified. If you are able to communicate in this way, you are going to be able to get a job, no matter if it's an internship or a senior vice presidentship. I think it applies to every single job.
All right. So you're saying that I should be more open with body language and should explain more?
I'm not saying you should. I'm not giving you any advice for your communication style. I'm saying observe your own communication style and see what you would want to say.
All right. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And I can see how this can be helpful. Yeah.
It seems dumb. I promise you, you're gonna do it 2 or 3 times, and then you're gonna be like, "This is dumb." I promise you.
I don't think it's dumb, actually. I think it's a really good idea. I'm definitely gonna try it.
Okay. Awesome. Woo. Last minute questions. What kind of questions do you have for me before we wrap up?
Actually, I do have one question. Can we do it at the end? I just have one last question for you.
Oh yes, of course. Well, in that case,
yeah. Sorry.
Is this the end question or is this another question?
It's mostly about the end question, but I have a weird way of thinking that if I just apply for fan companies, I know I don't have the resume or good resume right now, but if I do that, I'll get a feedback from them, and then I know how I can improve my resume, right?
That's a great idea. You're thinking about risk and benefit, and I love that. The best case scenario, you will get feedback, and in fact, the best case scenario is that you get hired. But
of course,
I wouldn't feel disqualified if you don't get feedback right away, and that's something that happened to me.
Right.
The larger the company, the more prestigious, the less willing they'll be willing to give feedback.
Okay. I won't mind applying to small-based companies then. I just want feedback.
Yes. So
I don't know what's going wrong over here right now. So yeah.
It's the pandemic. It's not you. I'm about to release a video with a person who had 7 offers during the pandemic, and he has realized that there is a very high connection with the number of times you apply versus the number of hours that you spend making yourself a better data scientist. And that's a bad equilibrium for the world to be in, but ultimately it really does depend on how much time you put your resume out there. It's going to be hundreds of times, hopefully fingers crossed for you, just a couple dozen times that you have to put yourself out there.
I hope. Yeah.
I think you're in really great shape. I do want to follow up as soon as you get an interview. Hit me up so that I can try to help you, guide you through that process. And when you get a job, I want you back on the show, and I want you to talk about how you got there.
Of course. Yeah, great.
Rama, thank you so much. This is the end of the show, and I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you still there? To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. To hear more options, press 0. What are you talking about?